Hey John,
Hey,
how you doing, man?
good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. First off, thank you for joining me. Second of
Yeah.
all, congratulations on the new album. It's days away, days away, and it's you know I've been lucky enough to sort of get to review a lot of your albums, see you live, take photos. It's probably for me my favorite in the way of how it's well rounded. There's so many different elements to it. Um,
Yeah.
I think the fans are going to be in for a few surprises when they see this. Were there a few surprises for you when Sean came in with the songs?
Yeah. You talk about being well-rounded. I think Sean sent us these group of songs in demo form originally, and yeah, I was just blown away. I always say I'm in a band with the guy, but he's just incredibly talented, man, and he writes some great stuff, and I was more than excited to get to work in the studio and recording them and adding drums to them. And yeah, he did an outstanding job. I really like uh, these group of songs, and I think this is going to be a. I feel it's a really strong album for us. And of the three he's produced, I would almost say it's my favorite of the three. I think this is a really good album.
Did he ever have any trouble in the studio going between the writer's hat and the producer's hat, trying to convey feelings or ideas?
Actually, we've kind of worked out that system really well. So he starts out with building the demos and he sends them to us. And then we each, Corey, Dale, myself, kind of learn our respective parts. And then when we go into the studio, I record first, being the drummer, the foundation rhythm section. I'm the first to record, and I play to those demos, replacing the drum machine with my live drums. So that way, it allows Sean to be in the control room and wear the producer's hat, as you say, and give suggestions and listen to it. And hey, try this or put a fill there, or how about this. And he doesn't have to worry about performing the song or the guitar part or the vocal or anything. He's just in there listening as we record drums. So it's a system we've really gotten down pat for these last three albums. And by now, for this new one, we kind of knew what to expect, and it worked really well.
Cool. Now, Sean wears his heart on his sleeve, like in every song he writes. When he came in with these, did he sort of give you any stories behind where he was at with them or what he was trying to convey in the terms of the lyrical ideas that he had in mind?
Not really. I think that's the great thing about Sean's lyrics, right? He never gives the literal interpretation to you or the story. Uh, I think it's something, the lyrics, he allows the listeners to sort of identify with it how they want to, how it applies to their life or their situation emotionally, maybe something or a relationship that they've been through or going through. And as you say, I think Sean wears his heart on his sleeve, and he has a way of really, being vulnerable and letting it all out there, but you don't know literally maybe the subject matter, but it applies to you, and you kind of connect with the emotion in his voice and then the lyrics. And again, it's pretty amazing to watch him put the lyrics together, watch them evolve from demo to final recording, and the changes he'll make just on the fly. Right before he goes into the vocal booth, sometimes he's still writing lyrics right up until the last second before he records something, and it's pretty amazing to watch.
For you, what's going to be the one song that you think will surprise fans the most?
Gosh, I don't know. There's a song on there it's one of my favorites. It's a song called Lost All Control. And it's a really kind of, for me as a drummer, it's got a really interesting groove pattern for the verses. It's a little different for us. I hesitate to say something like it's progressive, but it is sort of progressive. And I think it's an interesting track. And we had hoped one point maybe it'll be a single, and hope, maybe it will at some point. But it's a fun song to play, and I think it's a different thing for us. I mean, of course, when you hear Sean's voice, you immediately know it's Seether. But I think we surprise people, and I think we don't make the same album again and again. I think we try to keep it fresh and take some turns here and there, and that's what makes it fun. Experimenting a bit and trying some different stuff.
Well, that's the beauty of this album, and especially with the way the American radio works. There's so many different formats, so you could send a single to a progressive sort of channel, or you've got a track like Walls Come Down, which for me is, I don't want to label it, but it's almost getting into that pop rock kind of vibe, which is
Right.
your serious stations in the States. And
Right.
I think you guys are lucky in the fact that you've got so many different branches on the tree on this album.
Yeah, and I think it's something Seethers always had. Truthfully, I mean, we've had songs like "Rise Above This," we've had stuff like "Broken," and then we've had heavy stuff like "Let You Down" and "Gasoline." I think we know what Seether does pretty well, and it is a variety of styles, but it still applies to Seether. So yes, "Walls Come Down" is a great straight ahead, almost pop song. um, but and then the song "Lost All Control" I was describing. But yeah, I think that's kind of the cool thing about Seether, right? I think we keep it interesting, and it still sounds like Seether.
Yeah. And the thing that people are going to learn with this album is it's a new album, but to me, it's got an old feel with the fact it seems sequenced like a real album, not like a bunch of singles. So,
Right.
how do you guys go into sequence? Is it all on Sean or is it like a vote?
As far as our favorite songs, and I forget how many we recorded this time. Did we record 16? Always. And then the last album, we recorded 21 tracks. It's like we already had the stuff done. We didn't know if a deluxe version would happen, but it eventually did, which is great to always kind of have extra stuff. But yes, we as a band will vote on our favorite songs, and and then he'll kind of take that into account, and then obviously the label will have their opinions. And then yeah, Sean will definitely, we grew up in the era of the album, of the CD. We definitely want to take the listener on a journey. We just don't throw songs in any sort of nonsensical order. It's very well thought of, the mood, how the album starts and where it takes you and how it ends. And we're from that old school mentality. And yeah, definitely in putting this album together, that's taken into consideration when we put the songs in a certain order.
Sure. Do you guys find it difficult with the way that albums come out now? They seem to have like such a long lead time. Like some bands have like almost all of the album out of singles before the actual album drops. So it takes away a bit of that mystique. Is it harder for a
Right.
band today?
Yeah, I think that's definitely changed, and there's a lot of artists that are just doing only singles, maybe EPs at most, which is a shame. I love the album. I love the full album, because even the songs of my favorite bands or artists that aren't the singles sometimes are my favorite songs, right? Those quote unquote deep cuts,
Yeah,
and that's what I love about a band. And sometimes the true sound and heart of a band are sometimes in those sort of deep cut songs rather than the singles, as far as representing the band and what they're capable of. And yeah, so it's done a lot differently, and yeah, there's a lot of different lead times. But again, we kind of do what we always have done: a single about 6 to 8 weeks prior to an album's release, and then we did like a soft release with Illusion, and kind of get everybody primed for the album. But yeah, I'm excited it's finally coming out, so not too much lead time. um, but I think just the right amount on this one.
yeah. Now, speaking of a deep cut, a lot of people know you wouldn't have played on is a song called Eyes of Love. So you and I are about to go tragic kiss nerd. Um, how is it for you to
Uh,
take on that song? Even though it was a drum
oh,
machine
well,
originally, and then you played over the
yes,
top.
that's awesome. I'm sorry, surprised you know about it. Yes, it was truly an honor to do that. I'm of that generation. I grew up a Kiss fan. I mean, massive Kiss fan and Eric Carr fan. I kind of came into the Kiss timeline when Eric was the drummer. And unfortunately, for those who don't know, he passed away in '91. And I've become friends with his sister, Loretta, and she's been great. We were talking back and forth, and then whenever I'm in New York, I'll go visit her, and she was talking about this demo. It's unfinished, and what I consider putting drums on it for a unfinished business project. That was the title of the project she was putting together. And I said, absolutely. I tell you what was surreal was recording that thing and listening to the separate tracks, hearing him play bass, guitar, sing, that gave me chills, much less, trying to do the song justice.
Yeah.
And to play something I would feel like he would have, acknowledged and thought was pretty good. So yeah, what an honor, man. And I'm real proud of that.
He's the reason I started playing drums.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too. I always say Peter Criss. I mean, Kiss Alive was kind of the first thing for me, but when my first Kiss concert, it was Eric playing drums. So I loved Eric, man.
1980.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a huge tour.
Mm-hmm.
That was the era, that they weren't touring the States.
No.
Unmasked was the new album. Oh, I could geek out forever on that stuff.
Yeah,
And that's awesome.
Well, speaking of Australia, is it in the pipeline?
I hope so. Nothing definitive right now, but I'd love to come back, and I certainly hope so.
And I need to tell people this because I've been lucky enough to be your meet and greet photographer on previous tours. You guys need to get to see the meet and greet. It's not a photo, it's a hang, it's jokes, it's just ridiculous amounts of fun. And then you get to go watch a rock show.
That's right.
Well,
we like to have fun, man. I mean, we like to laugh a lot, and you got to keep your sanity, and we like to kid around a lot, and we love to hang and visit. We've done that before. It's been a lot of fun.
So, man, you are chock full of interviews. I'm going to let you go, but I need you to tell the fans what they're going to hear when this whole thing drops in a couple of days.
Well, I'm very proud of this album. I think it sounds great. And, it's accumulated now to, 20 plus years of being together, 21 years for me being the drummer. And I'm excited. We're still here and putting out a new album. And I'm talking to you about new music and a new album from Seether. And we're truly blessed and fortunate to still be able to do this. And I'm really excited. I hope everybody enjoys it as much as I did recording it.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Congratulations on 21 years. You can finally have a beer now.
Right? I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, man. Have a good day. Bye.
Take care. Cheers.